This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News at 9 p.m. First, the highlights. Court dismisses suit over emergency rule in Rivers State. APC probes alleged extrajudicial killings in Osun State. Tinubu urges CBN to fund National Theatre Endowment. NNPC laments losses over Pengasan strike. Nigerians languish in prisons in Ethiopia. Mbappe surpasses Ronaldo's record and half of my problems have been solved. TG Omori. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a suit instituted against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu challenging the March 18, 2025 proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The declaration of the state of emergency by Tinubu led to the suspension of the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for 6 months, and also led to the appointment of an administrator who took charge of running their affairs for the period. Delivering judgment in a suit filed by Belema Briggs and 4 others against the emergency rule, Justice Omotosho held that the 5 plaintiffs lack the legal power to institute the case, adding that such a case as constituted can only be determined by the Supreme Court. In a judgment on Thursday, the court held that none of the 5 plaintiffs claimed to be members of the State Executive Committee, members of the House of Assembly, or suffered any injury greater than the rest of the people of Rivers State, while the court held that none of the plaintiffs claimed to have the fiat of the Attorney General of the state to initiate the case. Besides, Justice Omotosho said the claim of President Tinubu to impose the state of emergency was avoided and regarded as a looming breakdown of law and order that was not challenged or disputed by the plaintiffs, stressing that the claim of breach of fundamental rights by the plaintiffs against Tinubu did not hold water because the appropriate law on emergency rule order was invoked by Tinubu to save the unpleasant situation. Justice Omotosho also said the case was frivolous and baseless because the mandate of the other people of Rivers State was not obtained before instituting it on their behalf. Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has struck out a suit filed by the chairman and members of the Rivers State Local Government Service Commission, who were appointed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara but later removed by the former sole administrator Ibok Ete Ibas. The claimants, Reverend Goodlife Idioku Ben, Amade Christian Echele, Chimenem Wisdom Jerome, and 3 others had approached the court to challenge what they described as their unlawful removal and replacement with another chairman and members of the commission. When the matter came up for judgment on Thursday, counsel to the claimant, Kelechi Ubani, informed the court of the notice of discontinuance filed at the request of his client, adding that his client made what he called a painful decision to withdraw the suit in the interest of peace and progress in the state. However, counsel to the first to 12th defendants opposed the motion and urged the court to dismiss the case instead of striking it out. In his ruling, Presiding Judge Justice Frank Onyiri dismissed the defendant's objection, describing their motion as baseless, and while citing relevant legal authorities in support of the claimant's application, Justice Onyiri struck out the suit under Order 25, Rule 1, and the court, however, declined to award costs or to dismiss the case as requested by the defendant. Rivers State government, through the Ministry of Justice, has taken over the prosecution of 2 men accused of killing 2 children. This is coming after Anyeka Sunday and his native doctor, Kingsley Oporum, are facing a 3-count charge bordering on conspiracy and the murder of 2 minors who were siblings around the Boku community in Obiakpo local government area of the state. When the matter came up in court, the trial judge, Justice Riza Ogugwo, after the Chief Principal Counsel from the Ministry of Justice, Precious Odu, declared his appearance but declined to have the charge read or a plea taken due to the absence of defense counsel. Justice Ogugwo also ordered that the accused persons be remanded at the Port Harcourt Correctional Center before the case was adjourned till October 16, 2025 for plea and possible commencement of trial. Deputy Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC in Imo State, Ugochi Mereze Chinedu Asuzu, has died after reportedly slumping in the early hours of Wednesday. His death was confirmed in a statement by the party's State Publicity Secretary, McDonald Amadi, who described it as a big loss to the ADC and Nigerian society. The statement said Asuzu, a native of Idiato South local government area, was known for his roles as convener of Ikoro Igbo and founder of Igbo Intelligentsia Renaissance, a platform that promoted cultural renewal and intellectual engagement. He was also the national leader of I Stand with ADC, a coalition support group for democratic participation, while the party described him as a loving husband, devoted father and mentor who inspired many across religious and secular circles. Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has approved 100% implementation of the consolidated health salary structure for health workers in the state with immediate effect. The CONHES 2024 refers to the consolidated health salary structure for health workers in Nigeria, and the structure outlines enhanced salary scales for various health professionals, including nurses and nurse anesthetics, psychiatric pharmacy technicians, community health technicians, physiotherapists, medical laboratory scientists, as well as medical laboratory technicians, dental therapists, and radiographers. The CONHES salary scale ranges from CONHES 07 to CONHES 15, with corresponding monthly salaries from 80,000 naira to 350,000 naira. A letter dated October 2, 2025 and issued from the Office of the Head of Service titled 100% Implementation of Consolidated Health Worker Salary Structure, CONHES, signed by the Head of Service named Theodora Igwebe. All relevant bodies were directed to commence implementation without delay, while the Accountant General of the state and the Accountant General for local government are to ensure the immediate execution of the directive. The state government called on all concerned parties to disseminate the contents of the statement and ensure strict compliance, adding that the initiative forms part of the state government's efforts to boost primary healthcare delivery by deploying qualified personnel to communities. Lagos State Government has reaffirmed its leadership role in the adoption of sustainable urban development and green building practices in the country. The Special Advisor to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Electronic Geographic Information System and Urban Development, Olajide Babatunde, who disclosed this at a workshop organized by the Green Building Council Nigeria in Lagos. Delivering a keynote address on behalf of the Special Advisor, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Urban Development, Shegun Williams, highlighted Lagos' proactive role in climate-responsive urban growth, adding that the dialogue aligns with our commitment to supporting the adoption of sustainable development, green energy, and green building practices in Lagos. He further said Lagos' role as a pioneer in driving scalable solutions and highlighted the importance of urgent, unified action, adding that as Nigeria prepares to present its climate progress at COP30 while the state government is calling for a collective effort to transform Nigeria's built environment into a driver of sustainability and resilience. Osun State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has criticized Governor Ademola Adeleke over the alleged extrajudicial killings of youths in Akinlalu, Ife North local government area by operatives of the Osun Amotekun Corps. The party alleged that the state government had failed to address the killings, which occurred on September 30, the eve of Independence Day, and accused the governor of diverting public attention with claims over local government allocations. A statement signed by the Osun APC Director of Media and Information, Kola Olabisi, the party said the people of Akinlalu were mourning the death of several young residents allegedly killed by Amotekun cooperatives, adding that the incident occurred when Amotekun operatives reportedly invaded Akinlalu community in retaliation for 2 pump-action guns allegedly snatched from their men by unknown persons. Security network, also known as Amotekun, came in large numbers and invaded Akinlalu community with two official patrol and 1 private vehicle, and during the invasion, they shot sporadically, causing serious bullet injuries on 3 persons, while the police further confirmed that 3 persons lost their lives during the shooting and their corpses have been taken away by Amotekun operatives. The APC, while expressing disappointment that Governor Adeleke had not taken action to ensure justice for the victims, alleged that the government had instead mobilized its supporters to spread falsehoods about local government funds to divert attention from the killings, and also accused the state government of diverting over 84 billion naira belonging to local governments, claiming that more than 60 billion naira had been spent on the governor's office in the last 3 years, and further alleged that some key government officials had visited the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC headquarters over contract scandals and mismanagement of TET fund and UBEC funds. A statement by the Commissioner of Police, CP Ibrahim Gotan, and issued by the command spokesperson, Abiodun Ojelabi, the police said information obtained from one chief, Oyebamiji Kamoruddin of Akinalu, indicated that the invasion by Amotekun Osun personnel was reportedly a retaliatory operation following the alleged snatching of 2 pump-action guns from operatives by unidentified persons. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Yesom Wike, has unveiled the installation of integrated solar street lights in Abuja as part of the Light Up Abuja project to enhance security in the FCT. The project flag-off follows the signing of memorandums of understanding with Chinese companies ECC and CGC in September 2024, during Wike's visit to President Bola Tinubu to attend the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit. A statement by the former Director of Press in the Office of the Minister, Anthony Ogunleye, the minister said the projects were set to be completed in time for the 50th anniversary of the creation of the FCT in February 2026, adding that he hoped to make Abuja shine like other global cities. Speaking during the unveiling on Thursday, Wike acknowledged the challenges of providing a lightning infrastructure in the territory, and warned against repeated cases of sabotage and vandalism of previously installed streetlights. The minister also said both companies will be responsible for the maintenance and security of the streetlights for the next 4 to 5 years, as stated in the signed MOU. Nathaniel Shwabi. Troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army and Sector 3 Operation Wellstroke have successfully foiled a terrorist attack and killed 2 suspected terrorists in Taraba. A statement by Lieutenant Umar Muhammad, Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, 6th Brigade Nigerian Army, Jalingo, said while acting on credible intelligence, troops on October 1, 2025 advanced to Tor Ikiegbagba village where bandits were reported to be converging, and during the operation, the following items were recovered: 1 locally fabricated pistol, 2 den guns, 3 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, 1 Baofeng radio, 1 motorcycle, and other items. He quoted Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa, commander of the brigade, and commended the troops for their swift response, resilience, and professionalism, while urging the troops to maintain the momentum and assured residents of the state that the brigade remained fully committed to ensuring their safety. Wives and relatives of soldiers detained at the 7th Division Military Police Facility in Maiduguri, Borno State, are appealing to President Bola Tinubu to grant them a presidential pardon. A statement signed by their leaders, Mrs. Roselle David and Mrs. Abigail Jonathan, the families acknowledged the offenses of the detained soldiers but pleaded that they be given a second chance and argued that if the federal government could extend amnesty to repentant Boko Haram members and bandits. We also appeal to the National Assembly, the Executive Governor of Borno State and all Nigerians of goodwill to support the plea to strengthen the bond of trust between the nation and those who defend it. Body of a 15-year-old boy has been recovered from a pond in Gabari village, Garki local government area of Jigawa State. Confirming the incident on Thursday in a statement issued in Duse, the state capital, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Jigawa State Command, ASC Badarudin Tijani, said the deceased Sunusi Abubakar, who was discovered lifeless in the pond, locally called Mahayin Gidantoro, about 1.5 kilometers north of Gabari village. Tijani said the teenager's shoes and trousers were first spotted abandoned on the riverbank on September 30, raising concern among villagers. According to the boy's father, Abubakar Gabari, his son, had gone to swim in the pond around 5 p.m. but never returned home, which prompted an immediate search by the community, and the NSCDC confirmed that the body showed no signs of injury and was handed over to the family for burial according to Islamic rites. Tijani urged the public to remain vigilant and prioritize safety around open water bodies to avoid such tragedies, adding that the Jigawa NSCDC remains committed to safeguarding lives and property while stressing the need for greater public awareness across the state. The spokesperson further reiterated the command's resolve to work closely with local communities to prevent future accidents and also appeal to parents and community leaders to warn children against unsafe swimming in open water to prevent tragic incidents. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Do stay tuned.
From the lines across the ocean,
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. And now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has called on the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Kadoso, and other key stakeholders to establish an endowment fund dedicated to the maintenance and sustainability of the newly inaugurated National Arts Theatre, which has now been rechristened the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts. Tinubu made the appeal on Thursday in Lagos during the official reopening of the historic facility following extensive renovations, and in his remarks, the president urged Nigerians to shun negativity and embrace the spirit of unity and optimism about the country's future. The president commended the organizers of the event and expressed delight at the rebirth of the iconic cultural hub, and also pledged to personally contribute to the proposed endowment fund, stressing that such an initiative would guarantee the theater's upkeep, create jobs, and ensure its long-term accessibility. Speaking at the ceremony, Kadoso said the bankers committee had invested about 68 billion naira into the innovation of the theater, while describing the project as a testament to what collective action between the public and private sectors could achieve, adding that the initiative went beyond corporate social responsibility, describing it as a deliberate investment in Nigeria's cultural and creative future. Carlos also paid tribute to the late Herbert Wigwe for his passion and imagination in driving the vision, and expressed appreciation to Lagos State and other ministries for their support, while Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, underscored the strategic role of the creative industry in Nigeria's economic diversification agenda under President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after representing President Bola Tinubu at the 80th anniversary session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York and high-level engagements in Germany. The Vice President's aircraft touched down at the presidential wing of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, in the early hours of Thursday, where he was received by senior government officials. During the week-long engagement, Shettima delivered the President's national statement at the UNGA, calling for comprehensive reforms of the global body, adding that to achieve peace and development, Nigeria must have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council as part of a wider process of institutional reform. He also said the urgent action to promote sovereign debt relief and access to trade and financing, adding that countries that host minerals must benefit from those minerals. He also advocated Africa's sovereignty over its estimated $700 billion mineral resources, and strengthen Nigeria's partnership with the United Kingdom, the Gates Foundation, and other international stakeholders. We're going to a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue the rest of our stories. Do stay tuned.
These are exciting times for broadcasting in Africa. The National Broadcasting Commission is set to host the 14th Biennial Conference and Exhibition of African Broadcasters, Africast 2025 in Lagos, Nigeria. Participants will experience a week of world-class expositions showcasing the very best in creativity, innovation, and cutting-edge broadcasting technological advancement and trends in the global broadcast media ecosystem. Theme: Navigating the Digital Surge, Building a Resilient Africa Media Ecosystem for the Future. Date: Monday, October 20th to Friday, October 24th, 2025. Venue: Balmoral Convention Center, Sheraton, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. Time: 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Visit www.africastexpo.com or email info@nbc.gov.ng. NBC, your right to quality.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. As Nigeria marked its 65th independence anniversary celebration, governors across the Federation, lawmakers, activists, and clerics reflected on the nation's journey since 1960, urging citizens to remain united, resilient, and willing to make sacrifices for true nationhood. While acknowledging Nigeria's democratic resilience and modest gains, the leaders stressed the need for collective resolve to tackle insecurity, corruption, and economic hardship, and further preach hope and sacrifice. Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani, in a message on his verified Facebook page, said Nigerians must draw inspiration from the struggles of the founding fathers, while Kebbi State Governor Nasser Idris called for prayers and repentance as part of national rebirth. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba urged Nigerians to be patient with current reforms, while in Edo, Governor Monday Bobelo described independence as a reminder of the sacrifices of Nigeria's heroes, while pledging to continue expanding infrastructure and youth opportunities. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, represented by Deputy Governor Bayo Lawal, stressed the need for unity across ethnic and religious divide, while Sokoto State Governor Ahmed Aliyu warned that peace would remain elusive without joint efforts against banditry. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun described the anniversary as a historic milestone and emphasized collective responsibility, while Ondo State Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa commended President Bola Tinubu's reforms, and Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke stressed on the respect for the rule of law. Troops of Operation Fansanyama have foiled several terrorist attacks as well as killed 2 fighters and rescued kidnapped victims in separate operations across Sokoto and Kebbi State. A statement in a post shared on X by the security analyst Zagazola Makaba on Thursday said troops of 8th Division Garrison moved after terrorists attacked fishermen near Modaji village in Isa local government area of Sokoto, and the government fled immediately after sighting the soldiers. In another incident, about an hour later, troops responded to an attack in Bargaja village, which also in Isa local government area, where the terrorists had killed 1 local. 3 other residents were rescued during the operation, adding that 8 kidnapped victims who were scattered for safety during the gun battle were later rescued by the troops. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has charged the nation's security forces to identify and destroy criminal elements threatening peace in the country and across the wider Sahel region. The CDS, who spoke as guest of honor at the closing ceremony of exercise #KBU, a joint security training organized by the Armed Forces Command and Staff College Jajinia Kaduna on Thursday, said removing those criminal elements is the only way for Nigeria and the Sahel to enjoy peace. He warned that insurgency, terrorism and banditry remain serious threats not only to Nigeria but to the entire Sahel belt, stressing that armed groups exploit porous borders to operate freely across countries, and also insisted that no single nation can contain the menace in isolation, urging regional cooperation as the surest path to stability. The defense chief also linked successful operations to robust community engagement, adding that without the cooperation of citizens, armed groups would continue to find shelter, and urged Nigerians to see security as a collective responsibility, not just the duty of soldiers and police, adding that public support is indispensable for long-term peace. He equally stressed the importance of civil-military relations and also charging security personnel to conduct themselves professionally as well as avoid corruption and resist partisan influence that could compromise operations. Key member of the opposition coalition African Democratic Congress ADC, Atiku Abubakar, has given a condition to step aside for a younger presidential candidate in 2027. The former vice president, who disclosed this, said his interest in the 2027 race is not about personal ambition, but about providing a credible alternative to rescue Nigerians, stressing that he would fully back qualified candidates if picked to contest for the presidency. Atiku denied claims that he is desperate for the seat of the president, declaring that he is only interested in rescuing Nigeria from the people that have held it hostage. Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured the European Union (EU) that while some of its recommendations after the 2023 general election have been implemented, others have been attended to by the various stakeholders affected. Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who disclosed this at a meeting with the European Union EU Election Observation Follow-up Mission to Nigeria in Abuja on Thursday, led by its head and member of the European Parliament, Mr. Barry Andrews. Also in attendance was the EU Ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Gauthier Mignot, the team lead, and other experts on the follow-up mission. The meeting was basically to monitor the implementation of the EU recommendations halfway between the last and the forthcoming general election, adding that of the 30 recommendations made by the EUM in 2019, 11 were specifically addressed to INEC, while 3 of the recommendations were identified as priority, while 8 were categorized as general. He said the remaining 15, which is 65.2% recommendations, of which 5 were categorized as priority, require action by other entities in the executive legislature and the judiciary, as well as political parties and multiple stakeholders such as civil society organizations, the media and professional bodies. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has recovered 364.5 billion naira and $326.5 million crime proceeds from 2023 and 2024. The Commission said the recoveries, which it described as unprecedented, were completed by extensive monitoring of government intervention funds, including the PL-CNG scheme, NG Cares, NACA Global Fund, SESET, AMCON loans, and various central banks of Nigeria facilities such as COVID-19 support schemes and conversion loans with for 15% cover. During the same period, the EFCC said it received 15,724 petitions, investigated 12,928 of them, filed 5,081 cases in court, and secured 4,171 convictions, while 2,348 cases remain pending, stressing that its operations might go beyond curbing internet fraud to protecting national assets and ensuring that critical intervention funds reach their intended beneficiaries. The Commission also said all recoveries and convictions were secured under strict adherence to due process and judicial oversight, a factor he said has strengthened public confidence in its operations, and further described the achievements as evidence of its expanding influence in safeguarding Nigeria's financial system, with many noting that its performance reaffirms the country's leadership in Africa's anti-graft fight at a time of persistent challenges from corruption, mismanagement, and economic sabotage. The 10th leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has written a formal petition to the Nigerian Medical Association alleging manipulation of his medical records and negligent treatment while in the custody of the Department of State Services. The petition conveyed through his legal team was titled "The Grave Concerns Regarding My Medical Treatment and Health Management in DSS Custody. Request for urgent intervention, protection of independent practitioners, and immediate release of NMA medical assessment report. Urged the NMA to investigate allegations of record manipulation, protect independent practitioners, particularly Emeritus Professor Martin Agaji, who he credited with saving his life, and ensure immediate release of the NMA medical team's report of September 22, 2025, which a federal high court ordered to be filed within 4 days. Recounting his arrest in Kenya before his rendition to Nigeria, Kanu alleged brutal treatment and denial of basic medical rights, which had left him gravely weakened before his transfer to Nigeria. Kanu also alleged that upon arrival in Nigeria, tests revealed life-threatening potassium deficiency, but claimed DSS appointed doctors falsified subsequent results and further accused DSS doctors of breaching medical ethics, stressing that falsification of medical records is a grave violation of ethics, while the intimidation of independent physicians undermines patient care and public trust, and also medications breach the principle of informed consent. Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors have decried the country's poor doctor-to-patient ratio of 1:9,083, describing it as far from global best practice. A statement issued on Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary, the association said, with effect from today, October 1, which was yesterday, 2025, resident doctors across the country will no longer take continuous calls beyond 24 hours. The statement was signed by NAD President Dr. Muhammad Suleiman, Secretary General Dr. Shuaibu Ibrahim, and Publicity and Social Secretary Dr. Abdul Majid Ibrahim, adding that Nigeria has long struggled with a shortage of doctors, as well as worsened by a steady exodus of health professionals seeking better pay and working conditions abroad. According to the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Pate, over 16,000 Nigerian doctors have left the country in the last 5 to 7 years to seek greener pastures in other countries, and the consequence is becoming a crushing workload on those who remain, especially resident doctors who form the backbone of Nigeria's tertiary healthcare system. This is coming after the medical associations had previously warned that unless conditions improve, more doctors will continue to leave in view of the worsening of the crisis. And now to some business news. Federal government has urged divestment by international oil companies to about 200,000 barrels per day to Nigeria's crude production boosting efforts to stabilize the sector. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Bobiri, who disclosed this in Cape Town, South Africa, while delivering a keynote address on behalf of President Bola Tinubu at the Africa Energy Week, said the divestment had already unlocked over $5.5 billion in fresh investment within months. The Bobiri, in a statement issued by his special assistant on media and communication, Namaka Okafor, on Thursday, said the Tinubu administration was committed to building a transparent, stable and investor-friendly petroleum sector to attract long-term capital, while over the past 3 years, major IOCs such as Shell, ExxonMobil and Chevron have been offloading their onshore and shallow water assets as part of a global strategy to focus on deep water operations. The minister said Nigeria is open for business and actively pursuing policies that prioritize investment, efficiency and long-term growth in the oil sector, and further outlined the bold policy measures implemented under Tinubu's administration, particularly the Petroleum Industry Act, which provides a clear and predictable fiscal and regulatory environment for investors. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited Group Chief Executive Officer Bashir Ojulari has lamented the crude and gas production losses resulting from the 3-day strike carried out by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. In a letter written to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Ojulari said the suspended strike led to 16% oil production and 30% marketed gas losses, while the nation suffered a 20% power supply shortfall. The National Oil Company's letter, dated 29 September 2025, entitled Impact Assessment of Ongoing Industrial Action, was also sent to the National Security Advisor and the Director General, Department of State Services, stressing that the industrial action caused by a rift between the union and the Dangote refinery forced the shutdown of major oil terminals, gas plants and power facilities, leading to the deferment of 283,000 barrels of crude oil per day and 1.7 billion standard cubic feet of gas daily. This is coming after the leadership of the union declared the suspension of its nationwide strike against Dangote Petroleum Refinery following the intervention of the federal government, and also cautioned that the truce remained temporary and could be revisited if the pending issues were not addressed. Meanwhile, the Pengasan leadership said the decision to temporarily suspend the nationwide strike was taken out of respect for federal institutions and government mediation efforts, stressing that it was not a show of confidence in Dangote. According to the international payment data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Nigeria spent a total of $2.86 billion servicing external debt in the first 8 months of 2025, which accounted for 69.1% of the country's total foreign payments of $4.14 billion in the period. In the same 8-month stretch of 2024, debt service stood at $3.6 billion, representing 70.7% of total foreign payments of $4.33 billion, as well as the absolute value of debt service fell by $198 million between 2024 and 2025, adding that the share of debt in overall foreign payments has remained persistently high, with about 7 out of every $10 leaving the country used to meet debt obligations. The monthly breakdown highlights the volatility of Nigeria's repayment schedule, and the month-on-month trends in 2025 further underline the erratic nature of the payments, and the high ratio of the debt service to total foreign payment highlight Nigeria's vulnerability, as nearly 3/4 of its international outflows are being channeled into debt repayment rather than critical imports or investments. The agency also cited a minor delay in the payment of a Eurobond coupon due on March 28, 2025, as a reflection of persistent challenges in public finance management, adding that although Nigeria's external debt service remains within manageable levels, Fitch warned that high interest costs, weak revenue performance, and limited fiscal space remain significant concerns. And now to some international tidbits. Dozens of Nigerians remain behind bars in Ethiopia as efforts to repatriate them stall, following delays in finalizing a crucial memorandum of understanding between both countries. The agreement, which would allow convicted Nigerians to serve the remainder of their sentences at home, has yet to be ratified by the Ethiopian government, despite repeated diplomatic engagement and mounting pressure from civil society groups. Speaking on the matter, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, said the delay is not from the Nigerian side, adding that the ministry has fulfilled its own side of the formalities for the transfer of sentenced persons MOU. The ministry also said in 2023 that more than 270 Nigerians were serving various prison terms in Ethiopia, mostly for drug-related offenses, while families and advocacy groups have continued to raise alarm over the poor conditions in detention centers. President General of the My Dream Life Development Foundation, Ambassador Onwuka Collins, condemned this situation last week, describing conditions in the prisons as deplorable. Brazil has condemned Israel after the Israeli Navy intercepted a flotilla carrying aid to Gaza with several Brazilian nationals on board, including a lawmaker. The global Sumud flotilla involving around 45 vessels carrying politicians and activists left Spain last month, aiming to break Israel's blockade of the Palestinian territory, where the United Nations said famine has set in after nearly 2 years of war. Israeli forces stopped more than a dozen boats as they were sailing through the Mediterranean Sea in international waters, while Brazil deplores the Israeli government's military action, which violates rights and endangers the physical well-being of peaceful protesters. Brasilia is one of many governments worldwide that have called on Israel to remove restrictions on humanitarian and allow to enter the Gaza Strip, and President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has repeatedly denounced what he calls an Israeli genocide against Palestinians in the war, which was sparked by an October 2023 attack on its soil by Palestinian militant group Hamas. Efforts to swiftly end the U.S. government shutdown collapsed after Democrats in Congress went on without resolving a funding standoff with President Donald Trump, and the White House threatened public sector jobs. This is coming after federal funding expired at midnight after Trump and lawmakers failed to agree on a deal to keep the lights on, prompting agencies to wind down services, while the White House warned of imminent firings of public sector workers. The crisis has higher stakes than previous shutdowns, with Trump racing to enact hard-right policies that include slashing government departments and threatening to turn many of the furloughs into mass firings. Spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said the administration was working with agencies across the board to identify where cuts can be made and believes that layoffs are imminent. The Department of Energy declared plans to terminate clean energy projects, all in blue states, according to White House official Roosevelt Vortwood said the slashed funding had been used to advance the left's climate agenda. The Department of Transportation also froze nearly $18 billion in federal funding for major infrastructure projects in New York, which Governor Kathy Hochul called political payback. Tesla boss Elon Musk has become the first person to achieve a net worth of more than $500 billion, as the value of the electric car company and his other businesses have risen this year. Alongside Tesla, valuations of his other ventures, including the artificial intelligence startup xAI and rocket company SpaceX, have also reportedly climbed in recent months, and the milestone further cements Musk's status as the world's richest person, well ahead of the rivals in the global tech sector. According to Forbes Billionaires Index, Oracle founder Larry Ellison is the world's second richest person with a fortune of about $350.7 billion. And Mr. Ellison briefly overtook Musk last month after shares in Oracle soared by more than 40%, boosted by the firm's surprisingly rosy outlook for its cloud infrastructure business and artificial intelligence AI deals. Musk's huge wealth is closely tied to his more than 12% stake in Tesla, which has seen its shares rise sharply this year. And Tesla shares were more than 3.3% higher at the end of New York trading on Wednesday and have now risen by over 20% this year, while the company's shares have been making gains in recent months as investors welcome Musk focusing more time on his companies rather than politics. He faced criticism earlier this year over his work with the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, the body tax with reducing U.S. government spending and cutting jobs, and also owns the X social media platform. Has also been vocal about his views on issues such as immigration and diversity, equity and inclusion, DIE programs. Two planes operated by a Delta subsidiary collided on the runway at New York's LaGuardia Airport, and the incident involving two Endeavour Air jets occurred when one was landing and the other about to take off. According to a statement from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, one person was taken to the hospital after suffering non-life-threatening injuries and showed damage to the nose of one of the jets. The Port Authority said operations at LaGuardia, one of the United States' busiest airports, were not interrupted. The two jets had a total of 93 passengers and crew members on board. Istanbul Chief Prosecutor's Office has opened an investigation after Israeli forces arrested Turkish citizens on board a Gaza-bound flotilla carrying activists and humanitarian aid. The probe continues. 24 Turkish citizens arrested following the attack carried out by elements of the Israeli Navy in international waters against the global smooth flotilla. A statement said the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea said it will look into crimes of deprivation of liberty, as well as hijacking or detention of means of transport, which aggravated looting, material damage, and torture. Turkish media said 30 Turkish citizens in all were arrested and taken by Israeli forces for deportation to Europe, adding that it would continue its journey towards the Palestinian territory despite the interceptions. Here now is ATN Sports News. Real Madrid forward Kylian Mbappe has surpassed Cristiano Ronaldo's Champions League record after scoring a hat-trick for Real Madrid against Kairat in midweek. The France captain opened the scoring for Real Madrid in the 25th minute from the spot after teammate Franco Mastantuono was fouled in the box, and the 26-year-old then doubled his tally in the second half and completed his hat-trick in the 73rd minute of the encounter. Mbappe's three goals against Kairat mean the former Paris Saint-Germain star has now joined an exclusive group of 6 players who have scored 60 goals or more in Champions League history, and Mbappe needed only 89 goals to reach the 60-goal milestone, while it took Ronaldo 98 games to reach the same number. The former Monaco attacker, however, is only behind the likes of Messi and Robert Lewandowski, who achieved the 60-goal mark in 80 and 85 games, respectively. And now, entertainment news. Popular Nigerian music video director Thank God Omori, aka TG Omori, says he has decided to practice celibacy, adding that since he became celibate, half of his problems became solved. On his X handle, he claimed it with mixed reactions, some doubting words, while others expressed the desire to practice celibacy to enjoy the alleged benefits. This is coming after singer Tiwa Savage recently disclosed that she has been celibate for 3 years, and her celibacy was due to singleness, stressing that she doesn't get the urge for sex except when in a romantic relationship. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Court dismisses suits over emergency rule in River State. APC probes alleged extrajudicial killings in Osun State. Tinubu urges CBN to fund National Theatre Endowment. NNPC laments losses over Pengassan strike. Nigerians languish in prisons in Ethiopia. Mbappe surpasses Ronaldo's record. Half of my problems have been solved. TG Omori. I am Favor Chikwesiri Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on social media platforms on Twitter as Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. And don't forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching, and do have a pleasant night rest.